have my co-host, Sally Altman.
Hey, Joe. How's everything?
Oh, just absolutely terrible. Thank you very much.
I figured that. Guess what I did this weekend?
I have no idea, and nothing would surprise me.
This was the most exciting thing. I'm not kidding. I went for a ride on the oldest flying DC-3 in the world. 3 propellers on it. I mean,
3?
a real old...
3?
3, all of 3.
3?
See, now...
A DC-3 has 2 propellers.
Well, there was one in the middle doing something.
There was?
Yeah, on the nose.
Okay. All right. I
think.
give up. All right. Who am I to question? Who am I to question?
I'll check my
your mind.
Pictures.
I mean, who am I to question your mind, Sally? I mean, that's something I should never venture near. I'll be honest with you. If you said there was 19, there's 19 propellers.
Well,
I'm not going to question it.
I'll admit I don't know a lot about airplanes, but this was incredible. The name of the plane was the Flagship Detroit, and it was one of the original American airline passenger planes. It was built in 1937. Thank God they've refurbished, but I heard every guy that I talked to knew exactly what a DC-3 was, and they told me how stable they were. You couldn't crash them, nothing. And I thought, well, that's great. But I'm getting to a point here. When I when I got on the airplane, it was just the roar of the engines. It was just really loud, and you just ease up nice and gently into the sky, and you fly about 1,700, 2,000 feet up, so you're not so high up in the clouds. You look down, it looks like Toyland. See little bitty cars and trucks, really cool. But the thing that was really liberating, Joe, was we were free. We wore our seatbelts, but we were free to get up, walk around the plane. The cockpit door was open the whole time. We could go in, say hi to the pilot who was sitting there with his arm hanging out the window, kind of like he was driving a car. He had his elbow up in the window. Oh, my gosh. It was no rules, no regulations, no BS, no. It was beautiful. And if somebody wanted to actually fly on this plane and experience this true freedom that I experienced, they can call this guy. His name is Zane, 940-391-2266. All you have to do is just call him. Okay. You can ride on the plane tomorrow. You can do it. You join their foundation, it's $150, but then anytime this year, wherever that plane is, you can fly it.
Okay, so will it be domiciled here in Tulsa, or does it move around?
It'll be here for the weekend, and it moves all over the country.
Okay, so wherever you are, so you have to follow their plane. Okay,
incredible.
Very good. That's nice.
Flagship Detroit.
Okay, very good. Yeah. The three propeller DC-3, I've got to see that.
Well, okay. Let me check my I'm checking my pictures.
All right,
okay,
don't do that now because we only have 50 minutes to go, Sally. Please.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Golly. All right. It did not have a propeller on the nose.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're right.
That's okay.
2 propellers. I'm sorry.
All right.
That's the blonde coming out.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my weekend. I bet you didn't do anything this weekend.
I do nothing. I do nothing every
day. I bet you had a lousy week.
That's right.
Because you don't get any respect.
No respect.
No respect at all.
No respect at all.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. In fact, the other night, I came home. I found my wife in bed with another man. I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" She said, "I'd be glad to explain it to you, but you wouldn't understand. What kind of respect is that?" I come to the studio, my boss tells me my ratings are in the toilet. I go, "What are you smiling for?" He says, "Well, at least we found them." What kind of respect is that?
Oh, my gosh, in the toilet.
None whatsoever. I tell you, I can't stand it anymore. I mean, I got so depressed. I went to church. I'm a Catholic, so I decided to go to confession. I go in the confession booth. I said, "Bless me, Father," and the priest, he recognized my voice. He says, "I'm sorry, I can't help you." What kind of respect is that? None whatsoever. I tell you, I can't get respect any place.
That hurts.
Yeah,
that
you're
just
telling
hurts.
Me. I can't. No respect. It's depressing. What else is new?
Yeah. Well, I guess the newest thing is Mitt Romney named his vice president.
Okay. We have somebody having on the phone for 2-3 minutes now.
Well,
I have no idea why.
So
let's get them on the phone and see what they have to say. Oh, I said, "I'm sorry, caller. Hold on a second." Yep.
We are.
Caller, you're on the air. That's okay.
All right.
I think I pressed the wrong button. These buttons are backwards.
We are button impaired.
Yeah, we are button happy here. I think we're in the wrong button business.
Impaired.
Okay. Let me.
Hang on, caller, don't go away.
Caller, you're on the air. Okay, I'm going to drop that one, see what happens, and see what happens. Caller, you're on the air. Oh, there's something wrong. I guess we're having a technical problem. But okay, Sally, go take it away again.
It could be just an idiot problem here.
Right.
I don't know. Well, something I like to do, Joe, is look up famous quotes. And I know that there's one, we kind of talked about it a little bit today, that was just, I don't know, I thought it was a great quote by Mark Twain. It said, if voting made any difference, they wouldn't let us do it.
I know, that's a profound quote. Absolutely profound quote.
That is profound.
But you asked me about the Romney or something, or?
Yeah, it kind of ties in with that, yeah.
What was your question?
Paul Ryan.
What
do you think about him? What do you think about this guy? Is he...
What I think about him? I don't think about him. I think about pretty girls.
He was, as far as pretty, he is a pretty guy. He kind of looks like Dr. Oz.
That's right.
And Dr. Oz is a good-looking man.
Sure. He qualifies. He qualifies as vice president.
This guy, definitely. He's going to get the women's vote now.
So what's your question?
He's 42. He's a representative from Wisconsin. Yeah. So, I'm telling you about him.
All right, I know.
Is he the right guy? I mean, are we just getting more of the same or what? What do you think?
Listen, Sally,
he's cute.
Anybody who would condescend to accept the invitation by Romney to be the vice president of the United States, to be his vice president, has got to trash all of their morals and all of their character, anything they ever believed in, put it in the toilet just for political gain.
Wow.
I mean, why the heck? I mean, who in their right mind would want to say, my leader-in-chief and the person that I'm going to support in everything he does is Mitt Romney? Anybody who's in that camp has got a real problem. Now, I'll tell you a few problems I have with Paul Ryan. Now, as I said, he qualifies because he has the right hair and the right look and the right suits. I mean, he's the right height. That's all this, because all this voting is an illusion. All we do is look on TV and we have this illusion that this person's a vice president and he looks good and we're going to vote for him and everything is fine.
He's a good speaker.
That's good for most of the people in the United States because that's as far as they can think. But, has anyone ever asked, whether or not he was in favor of the Patriot Act? Has anyone ever? No, God forbid. No, we don't ask that question because the Patriot Act stripped the American public of all of their constitutional rights. Every single one went down the toilet when that was approved, and he approved it. And he's a conservative. He's for America. He wants to make sure America is strong. Yeah, America is strong while we're all in internment camps. I mean, basically, he is worthless as far as I'm concerned because he voted. Now, how about the National Defense Authorization Act, which is another form of the Patriot Act? He voted for that. Well, let's get everyone together. We are no longer citizens. Because of those two acts, we are no longer, according to them, we are no longer free. We have no more Constitution, and the government can do whatever they want to us at any time. Troops can be placed on the streets. Police can arrest us for allegedly not thinking the right way. You name it, it has it in there. It has made us prisoners between the Atlantic. If you live between the Atlantic and the Pacific, south of Canada, north of Mexico, and north of the Gulf of Mexico, you are now a prisoner, right? Because of the Patriot Act and the NDAA. And one of the big sponsors, I should say, he wasn't a sponsor, but a person who really wanted to get this thing through and voted enthusiastically for it was Paul Ryan. He's my man. That's the guy. Hey, it doesn't even stop there. The guy who wanted to voted for putting a 700-mile fence along the Mexican border, your friend Paul Ryan, another great thing, because that not only does that keep people out, but it keeps us in. You see, they're encaging us, and I can go on and on and on. But what trumps all of that is accepting the invitation in the first place. But now we have this thing of this. We have, my son Paul my oldest son, Paul, I have to give a lot of credit to him. I really do. He's his own person. He had a full scholarship to TU.
Right.
After a few months, he quit.
Good skill.
I said, what'd you do that for? I filled out all these papers for months, and I got no respect, not even from my sons, And he comes, I quit. I said, what do you mean you quit after all this? I'm nuts for this thing, And he says, I won't say exactly what he said. He says, but it's all garbage. Okay, I put nice words on. It's all garbage. He says, he left. But I had to respect that because he was his own man. Now, and when he says something, he says it because he believes it. And he says, Romney is the perfect president. And I said, how could you say that? He says, because he has the right hair and the right chin. Because everything we see regarding these elections is one big illusion. Now, I think we have someone on the line. Do we have someone on the line? No, okay, we do not have anyone on the line. I don't want to press that button again. Okay. And you see, and that ties in just absolutely perfectly with Mark Twain's quote, is if our vote really counted, they wouldn't let us do it. Because all this voting is an illusion. They want to keep – I hate to just – I don't want to discredit, other talk show hosts. And that's not my intent. But I really wish they would stop talking about this crap. I mean, everyone from, the ones on KFAQ all the way to KRMG and nationwide. And what do? They talk about what Romney said and what he did and what he meant and how he translated and what he's going to do and all this garbage. And all the garbage that they're spewing is all noise. All that is intended to do is to keep us involved in the process the way it was built and meant to be by the people who run this country. We don't run this country. We are slaves of this country. And what they do, you see, the concept of freedom, folks, is an ethereal freedom. It's an ethereal term. Just freedom. You can't touch it or feel it. In fact, it's almost impossible to even define. It's like saying define God or something like that or define reality. You can't do that. But you know freedom. You know it when you see it. And what they want to do is they want to take this ethereal concept and they want to mold it to be the definition that they intended to be. Ever since we've been in grammar school, all the way to present date, they keep on molding our mind as to what is free. And I've said this before: the worst slaves in the world, the most slaved people in the world, are those people who think that they are free. Those that think that we are free, and we get engrossed in this process of Obama versus Romney and Paul Ryan, and all that is noise. It's the system. The whole system is rigged against us. If in fact our vote counted, wouldn't we have in every single election, we would have a Republican, Democrat, maybe Independent, Libertarian, whatever, and then none of the above. We would have an election of none of the above. The way it is rigged now, and it's rigged, folks. It's not a matter of, well, this is the way we want it. We don't want it this way. No one wants it this way. If we voted to do one thing, to change our voting system, we would vote for anything other than what we have now. Understand, if someone gets 50.0001% of the votes and the other person gets 49.9999% of the votes, one guy wins. Now, wait a minute. You had basically half the people, save just a few, who voted for one person. The other. And the election process is so impure and so inaccurate that really don't know who won. And, of course, the people who make the machines that count the votes, they're involved in the political process. It goes on in ad nauseum. If you accept the process the way it is, what you have done is you have been molded to the way the government wants you to think. Now, that's the intent of this program, is to deprogram everyone. Now, I said that I'm disappointed in many of the talk show hosts, and believe me, a lot of them are much more brilliant than I am. They're smarter and they bring up good points, and I'm not disagreeing with what they do. They do an excellent job, and I have several. Jerry Doyle is one of my favorites. I listen to him all the time. The guy is really good. Mark Levin, he's another guy. This guy is brilliant. Right? But my problem with the shows themselves is they talk about the minutia, which don't make any difference.
This is crazy, but I actually agree with you on this. It's noise. It is just all noise. It's a distraction from what the issues really are. All they're talking about is how is this new or this VP appointee, how is he going to affect the election? And, we don't care about that. We just don't care about that. And they're going to get off onto his history and this, that, and the other and blah, 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 blah. And you're right.
His cousin was gay, and then we go that direction, and this guy's not forgiving. It's all garbage, folks. We have to understand we're talking about our freedom. We do not understand that term of freedom. Our concept of freedom is that we listen to this garbage, and believe me, it's trumped up garbage. These guys, for example, when you hear congressmen or senators saying we're going into committee, because we have to get this resolved. It's been going on too long. We haven't resolved this. First of all, I don't care what the problem is. They cannot solve the problem. They created the problem. How could they solve the problem they created? They cannot do it. When they say they go into committee, you actually think that they're sitting down now, how do we fix this? How do we take our wrong and make it right for the American people? If you think that, I'm telling you, there are plenty of places that will try to help you with your psychological problems. I mean, there are plenty of places. Run there because you're dangerous. No, they don't do that. When they get into committee, and they open up and they go, okay, Bob, listen, how can we do this? We have to change this, but if I do this, I'm going to lose my funding, from this industrial complex and this and that. Now, we don't. What they do is they get together and determine how they can change the wording around to satisfy us. Our perception of what is going on, of what the bill actually says, right? While preserving, all the money that comes in from the military-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industrial complex, the agricultural-industrial complex, all this millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars that come into Congress that make all these people filthy rich at our expense. It's our money that they're taking, giving to them so they can fool us. And when they go to committee, they're just jockeying around to change around the wording so that we can say, oh, they solved the problem when they never did. Nothing ever changes. Nothing. And now if you think your vote really counts, folks, if you really think your vote counts, call us at 855-866-1170. 855-866-1170. I want to hear what you have to say. I will not be nasty. I will not holler at you. I promise. I will actually be calm.
That's a promise.
Take it away. 855-866-1170. Let me hear from you. Listen, I know the Olympics are on. Turn the Olympics off. This is more important. All right? Now,
absolutely.
I ran for office in the general election here in Tulsa for U.S. Congress in the year 2000, the 2000 general election. Now,
I remember.
This is how rigged the system is. I'm a candidate, political party, on the ballot, everything. And there's nothing funny about it. I was just there, okay? There was a major debate, and I wasn't invited. I just couldn't believe it.
That's true. You weren't.
I remember that?
I did.
And I wasn't invited. And I called. I called the station. I said, I haven't been invited. They said, oh, yeah, you haven't been invited. I said, I'm a candidate. They said, we're not in charge of that. I said, well, who is sponsoring the debate? Now, you will not believe this.
Really?
It was the League of Women Voters.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Now, listen, think about that. I know thinking hurts out there, right? I know thinking hurts. But think, the League of Women Voters, these women, at a time when it was very uncharacteristic to do this, took to the streets and demanded that women give the right to vote. They wanted people to vote. They wanted the vote to count, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they are all. I hate to use the expression, but that's truly what they are all about. But when it came to the debate, all of a sudden they pulled the same crap on me that the men in office were pulling on them. You see, now they're on the inside, they say, oh, now that I'm on the inside, I can do what I want, and I can manipulate the system even further to my advantage. I called them, and they blamed the radio station.
You're kidding.
I said, no, wait a minute. No. I said, no, it's not their debate. They're just the media. I said, I already spoke with them. And I was never on that debate. And then there was another one that I literally had to force my way through to get on. So, folks, what I'm saying is that there is absolutely no fairness in this. This is not an election where the people elect. Only 62% of the people voted in the last general election. And by the way, that was one of the highest because of Obama was running and there was a lot of activity and a lot of excitement, and they really thought there would be a change. 62%. Normally it's lower than that. Now, when I tell people, if you want to fix the system, the only way you can do it is not vote. Because if we get down to 45% of the populace not voting, just think what would happen. That means we know even if the person wins, they know they don't have a majority no matter which way you cut the cake. And right now you don't have a majority. Those people who don't vote are not voting because they're disinterested or they don't care or all this other garbage. They're not voting because they're like me, because you have no one to vote for. If you're given a choice between the lesser of two evils, which one do you vote for?
Oh, my goodness. If you have a comment about this, 855-866-1170.
Yeah, just
Joe,
think.
I remember when you could write in on a ballot. You could write in a name. That was ages ago. Eons. I'm not that old, but it was a long time ago. And it just disappeared. Very subtly.
The rules get stricter and stricter to a point where you have the Republicans, the Democrats, and sometimes they allow some third parties to get on there, but it's minuscule. And now, and then remember the Republican debates, right?
Okay.
Isn't it strange that there were how many debates were there? About 20 of them? Over a dozen, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't watch them. All I did, I turned them on to look at the placement of everyone on the stage. I care not what they said, right? And I wanted to know at the end how many questions were asked by, asked of each one of the participants, right?
Oh.
Right? Now, Ron Paul, who had the most enthusiastic crowds there, right? At one debate, I forgot which one, it was a major one, didn't get to speak until like 36 or 39 minutes into the debate. If you look at the placement of the people, the two front runners are always placed in the middle, and everyone else is placed all the way at the end. Remember the debates with Obama and Hillary Clinton? They always took center stage, and everyone else sat on the sidelines.
They were just
decorations. They were decorations. And now, if it was just one time or twice, you could say, well, it was just a mix of things. Statistically, it is impossible to have the same lineup when you have 20 debates and 20 different organizations who are sponsoring the debate, and they put people in the exact same place. Folks, it's this mind. What they do to us is they want us to know that these are the only two people you can vote for. No one else can win. It's mind controlled. That's all it's doing, And now we got to go first, I guess. Oh, we got to go. All right, we have to go for our news. Okay, folks. I've been beating this subject to death. I have been accused of, beating a dead horse. But let me be honest with you. I not only want to beat a dead horse, but I want to exhume the body and beat the hell out of it all over again. And the reason for that is that in this country, we come up with a major issue, something that is critically important to everyone. And we gloss over it for a week. We talk about it all week. We just gloss over it. And then the following week, something else comes, and we forget about it. And then we just say, that's sort of been not solved, but it's not that important anymore. I want you to know that this is the most important topic that we have in front of us right today, that you have to understand that Mark Twain was right. If, in fact, your vote counted, they wouldn't allow you to do it. They wouldn't allow you to do it. If, in fact, the vote, and the reason why they keep all eligible people out of the system is because when I say eligible as far as the Constitution, and we are concerned, because that would be the demise of government. And the government wants to make certain that the people who have the choice that you are given, is a choice of the government, is not a choice of the people. It is important that you understand that.
I think you're right, Joe. It seems to be one machine against another machine. A friend of mine said, if we continue to have a two-party system, we're never, ever going to have a democracy.
Absolutely. Look at the way we vote. I mean, at least in Europe, they have a system where they have a sort of a representative system, whereby if, let's say, the Republicans received 40% of the votes, they get 40% representation in Congress. If and let's say the Democrats get 40%, they get 40%, right? And let's say the Independent or the Libertarian gets only 20% of the votes, but then the Libertarian gets 20% of the representation in Congress. Right now, a Libertarian can get 25, 30% in a particular election, and it means absolutely nothing. And there's no way that a legitimate third party could ever win.
So we just have to not vote.
Well, no, exactly. If when you vote for the lesser of two evils, think of what you are doing. I mean, it's like saying, well, we have Hitler and Stalin. Well, let me see. I got to vote. But no, you don't have to vote. The Declaration of Independence tells us you don't vote. When you see and the government starts becoming abusive, it's time to change the government. Now, the next revolution is not going to be a bloody revolution. We're not going to be in the streets, like they did in 1776. It's, in my opinion, going to be a very quiet revolution. It's going to be one in which a majority of people stay home. It's going to be a majority of people stop doing things that they normally do, and it's going to strangle the government, and it's going to be something that the government has no control over. For example, let me go back to flying. The government can't say, "Oh, we want you to fly. You got to fly. You got to fly one more time. You have to go visit Aunt Agnes in California. You have to do that."
Okay.
So fly. And you say, "No, I don't want to fly." And what happens when you don't fly? The airlines lose revenue. The money they gave to Congress, and that industrial complex, they start getting nervous. The TSA, they have nothing to do. They're spending money for no reason, and everyone stays home. Now I'm not advocating trashing the economy, because if we start doing things ourselves, we'll go back to the dark ages, and I don't want that to see that happen. But there are things that we can do to make the government so scared that they will change the system. And right now, they're not scared. The only people that are scared are people like me and many people who are listening to this program. Yeah, I lost. Okay, we're okay. We just lost our headphones. Yeah, you see, folks, it's a shame that we just touch on a subject. We'll talk about the vice president and go on. We should never go on. We should say, this is not a subject that we should ever have discussed in the first place. Never discuss the vice president, because it doesn't make difference. And what I want my listeners to do is recognize that what we will be doing in the future is talking about what we need to do as free people to stay free. But I do want you to call in 855-866-1170 with your questions. And it looks like we have someone on the air. We don't have someone on. Do we have someone on the air? Technician? I think we're having. Oh, wait. I think what they're doing is they're just calling in now, and then the phone is not blinking. The light's not blinking. I'm all confused, folks, now. But I want you to understand that that's why this is so critically important. I say that this program, I've mentioned this before, this program is a prerequisite to listening to any other program. Because the other program are going to talk about the minutiae, whether they should have done this and they should have done that. All that is noise. That's just to keep people busy arguing, the progressives against the conservatives and stuff like that. Paul Ryan votes for all of the appropriations, for bases and continuing the wars around the world. Well, what kind of, this is what we want. We want America to be the evil empire and just feed it and keep on feeding it. And what really pisses me off the hell, is that when I see elected officials go around campaigning, they're doing it on my money, on my dollar. In other words, I pay my taxes to support these guys. Then they go around and people give them donations, right? They're supposed to be working supposedly in Washington, but they're not. They're out campaigning. Well, someone's got to pay for that. Well, they're campaigning. They can't be doing their job. And they always talk about, I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to make sure. Well, how can you make sure when you spend half your time, campaigning? And by the way, here's a little statistic for you that's really interesting. Do you know a independent firm did a fully costed how much it cost to run? I'm stumbling on my words. How much it costs to run the White House every year, fully costed?
How much?
$1 billion a year.
Oh my gosh.
$1 billion a year.
A billion.
Yeah, $1 billion, right? And now that's everything. Every time the president gets on the Air Force One and goes somewhere together, it costs $1 million, fully costed. And they went through this. It was several page articles. They broke everything down, and they were right. It cost $1 billion a year. Now, this is what our tax dollars are paying for. This is what we are doing. And when we say, oh, geez, I want to hear what Obama has to say, I want to hear what Romney has to say, we've paid for it. That's our tax money, and not only our donations, but also our tax money at work. And while they're saying they're going to do all these things, my question is, why the hell aren't you at your job? If I had a job and I spent half my time out there just promoting myself to other companies, I don't think I'd have a job very long.
So you're saying they need to be home. They need to be in their individual states, not...
They need to be... In fact, the Constitution was so concerned about Congress never meeting because they had no responsibility, that I think it's the second week in December they're required to meet once a year. Because people...
Right.
And that's why congressmen only have a 2-year term, because it wasn't intended that they go to Washington. They work their farm, they do that for 2 years, and that's about all they could afford to do. And then these are of the people, and not people say, this was my 18th term in Congress, and I'm here, but my work's not finished yet. And we buy that crap. We always buy that crap.
I have a question for you, Joe. When you fill out your tax form every year, there's a little box on there, and it says, do you want to donate $1 toward the presidential elections? I'm going to say you do not check that box. Am I right?
Well, I don't, because they get my money for the elections anyway.
I know.
It doesn't. You see, this is the fraud. This is the illusion saying, oh, I'm going to give to the election. I'm going to point this out. No, you can check it, not check it, cross it out. They take your money anyway. That's the problem. All right?
There we go.
All right. I've killed that situation to death. I can't say anymore. 855-866-1170. I know the Olympics are going on. Turn the TV off. Call the station. We need a question, okay?
And you'll get a free T-shirt, too.
All right. What else do we have going, Sally?
Maybe. You get mine. I'm going to take my T-shirt and donate it.
Oh, I got something depressing. Last night my wife and I were walking on Riverside with the dogs. I got this real bad knee. I'm walking in pain. And this very charming, and I truly mean a charming lady, and this gentleman stop and look at the dogs and say, and she mentioned that she had a dog very similar to ours, and we just start talking, and they were very friendly, and we almost became friends in about 5 minutes. It's one of those situations. You know? And she happens to be an MD.
Oh.
And she works at a major hospital here in Tulsa. I won't say who she was and where she works. But a major hospital here in Tulsa. And knows a doctor who may be a doctor that I may use. Anyway, it was and she confirmed the guy was fantastic and the whole bit.
Dogs are such a great way to get the conversation going.
You're absolutely correct.
And they're good. You can find boyfriends and girlfriends too.
Well, we became good friends. We hugged at the end. Now we never saw these people. We hugged at the end. Hope to see you again in the whole bit. I really hope to see him again. Wonderful people, very charming. Now here's a kicker. She was from Iran. She's a doctor from Iran. And she said, I'm from Iran. Now, listen carefully. She says, I'm from Iran. I'm Persian.
Persian?
Yeah.
And
I'm from Iran. I am Persian. Now, most people think of Iranians, those Arabs, right? Those Arabs. And this gal, I tell you, she was a charming lady. She was very, very pretty. Everything intelligent, well-spoken. Just a very classy lady, and very well educated, obviously. But the way she says, I'm from Iran. I'm Persian. And she made sure Persian and came right out. And I know that. I know Iranians are Persians. I know most people don't know that. And I said, yeah, I know that, And when we walked away, my wife turned around to me and said, and it almost made me cry. I mean, I'm going to get emotional over this. My wife turned around to me and said, honey, I wish we would stop killing the people in Iran.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, why do I want to kill people in Iran? I mean, just think, all right, they got the nuclear thing and they're going to put it on that. Oh, please, go back and get a drink, and stay drunk, take something, but, why do we want to kill Persians? Why do we want to have a blockade that starves the people, where children will starve and more people will die? We kill people when we do that. We don't change government. We kill people. Why do we do that? Why do we have, I heard something like, and someone's got to correct me, 45 military bases. No, that 45 is wrong. I think it's like, I don't know, but something like 20 or 30 military bases surrounding Iran with missiles and tanks, and we have aircraft carriers with nuclear weapons on them.
Just in case?
What? But in case of what? Well, that's in case they get them nuclear bombs. They take the bombs, they blow the bombs, they blow everybody up. No, then what are they going to do?
How many military bases do we have around us?
None. Thank you, Sally.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sally. None. Zero. Zilch. If there was one anywhere near us, there would be a nuclear war. But you see, This planet does not belong to anyone but the United States. We own the planet. Everybody rents from us. That's the way it is. And the thing is that, and that's the mentality. And yet here we are, we are, and what do we say? Well, we have to support our friends in the Middle East. Of course, Israel. And I go,
who are our friends? Okay.
What do you mean? We buy 17% of our oil from Saudi Arabia, and they're not our friends. They're our enemies. I mean, all the language is gobbledygook. It makes no sense. They say, well, and Biden, by the way, who they keep off the air, because every time he says something, it is so stupid. People, even the Democrats go, get him off the air. He goes, he says, the reason why we must supply Israel is because we have a special relationship with them. Well, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? A special relationship? Like my wife finds me in bed with another woman. I go, hey, honey, don't worry about it. No, I just have a special relationship with her. Would you get us a couple of cigarettes and some coffee? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Innocuous.
What is that supposed to mean?
Innocuous. That's
855-866-1170. Let me hear your take on this. Now, am I pro-Israel? No, I'm not pro anyone. I'm pro everyone. I am pro everyone. I'm not pro Israel. Let me make that plain. I am pro everyone. Here we are. Why do we have? For what reason do we have to spend $3 billion a year in giving aid to Israel? That's the only reason why they exist. Without that aid, they're gone, right?
Yeah.
Give them all the military stuff, the latest military equipment. Why?
Wow.
I mean, why?
Wow.
Well, because they're the only free country in the... No, they're not. They're not a free country. If I went to Israel tomorrow and said, hey, my name is Joe Cristiano, I want to be a citizen, they say, sorry, if your mother is not Jewish and you don't have papers, get out. Is that a free country? It's not.
No.
It's not a democracy. It's a theocracy. But it's immaterial what it is. It can be I don't care what you want. It could be a communist form. Makes no difference. What if I was president? I would help Iran. I would sell them the parts that they needed to build a nuclear reactor.
And why would you do that?
Why not? I mean, why not? We would sell parts, and by the way, and we would create jobs. How about that?
Yeah.
But and it wouldn't be jobs that the government is creating. It would be private industry jobs, and I'd let industry deal with Iran in totally free trade. And if Israel has a problem with Iran, guess what? That's Israel's problem. Have them figure it out. But don't drag us into it. And I want all my aircraft carriers, because I pay for them, I want them the hell out of the Persian Gulf. And I want them home. I want to see them sailing up and down the East Coast and the West Coast and the Gulf Coast. I want to see them every day. I want to make sure I see them, make sure they're on ready alert 100% of the time, because if someone wants to attack us, they have to go through that impenetrable seal.
Right.
field, right? But no, we have our aircraft carriers in the Middle East. We have them in the Persian Gulf, in the Mediterranean. We have it in the Indian Ocean. We have it in the Gulf of Japan, Sea of Japan. We have it. You name it. We have them around the world, every place where we shouldn't have it. Why? Because we have to control everything. And because most people who are in office today, people running countries, are people we've propped up so that we get special privileges to their natural resources. And when are we going to wake up to that? I want to see absolutely not a dime go to any country, not one dime to any country ever, save maybe if there's a natural disaster and everyone gets together. And I want to see, then we can give them some money, maybe,
What
and I want to see
think?
the dissolution of the World Trade Organization, the IMF, and the UN.
What do you think about that? Call us, 855-866-1170.
And comments at LibertyTalkRadio.com. Blast me. Comments
Let
at
him have it.
LibertyTalkRadio.com.
Let him
Yeah,
have
I mean,
it.
come on,
He's worked
folks.
up.
Let's be honest. The British allowed the Jewish state to be formed and took the land away from the Palestinians. Look at any book, any old history book. In fact, I found an old history book on the Middle East, and guess what? That whole area was called Palestine prior to 1948. It was called Palestine, and most of the Jewish people, vast majority, didn't want their own state because they knew what would happen. They knew this would be in turmoil forever. They'd be in war forever. They said they would prefer to be called Palestinian Jews. And this is the way we foster understanding among people. We live amongst one another. We trade. We do work. Just like this gal that I met on, my wife and I met on the Riverwalk. I met someone, wonderful person, just wonderful person. Do we have a caller here? Can I pick this up, Chad? Oh, I'm not sure. I think, we just fell asleep.
The doggy,
Right, okay.
the doggy trail, highly recommended. Meet a lot of nice people.
Do we have a caller? Oh, we don't have a caller. Man, I don't know what's going on. These lights are going on and off, and then they're all dropping off. Okay. I guess they either absolutely agree with me or absolutely disagree, Sally.
Chicken out at the last minute. Yeah. I know I'm kind of afraid to call in.
That's because you're a weenie.
Thank you. What?
Yeah.
No, let's not start calling names. It'll be ugly here.
Yeah, we have about 1 minute to go. Okay. With that 1 minute, Sally, let me read something to you.
Okay.
I got this from the ACLU. They do a lot of good work. I want to read this one thing. Healthcare is a national problem, and a national government must be empowered to address it. Boy, that steamed me up. Healthcare is not a national problem; it's an individual problem, and the government is the one that made it, that created the problem. All right?
Okay.
We have healthcare is an individual responsibility, and government created the problem. I'm writing them to ask them to revise that letter and reissue it. Okay? You have any parting words?
Any party words?
Parting words, not party words.
Parting words.
I know you have plenty of party
I've got
words.
my mind on party. Saturday night, let's go party.
Okay,
let's have fun.
Yeah,
everybody.
Folks, we have a broadcast on the internet Thursday morning, 6:30. It's LibertyTalkRadio.com. Please join us. Okay. Thank you very much for being with us this evening.
Good night.